Hey friends, if you've been watching the news this week and feeling like your head is spinning, I completely understand. Because right now, we are only days away from a potential Supreme Court decision that could impact hundreds of billions of dollars. And yes, those coveted $2,000 stimulus checks, or dividend payments, as the president likes to call them. And I know a lot of you are sitting there wondering, is this finally happening, or is it all about to fall apart? I'm going to give you every single detail I have right now, including what the betting markets are actually saying about the odds of the Supreme Court keeping the tariffs in place versus striking them down, what that means for those $2,000 payments, and this is the part that I really don't want you to miss, why even if the Supreme Court does strike the tariffs down, this is not necessarily game over for those payments, not even close. So stay with me. We're going to break all of this down in plain language right here, right now. My name is Tony, and for those of you who are new here, welcome to Retirees Benefits. I started this channel because I've been in the tough spot that so many of you are in right now. I know what it feels like when a government decision can literally change whether or not you make rent this month. That's why I dig through the legislation, I read the rulings, I follow the money, so you don't have to spend hours doing it yourself. And today, friends, there is a lot of money to follow. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars, so let's get into it. Here's exactly what we're going to cover. Number 1, the upcoming Supreme Court ruling on the tariffs and when we might actually hear something. Number 2, what the betting markets, specifically Polymarket, are saying about the odds. Number 3, the $2,000 stimulus checks and dividend payments, where that money was supposed to come from and whether a bad ruling actually kills the idea. And number 4, the real numbers, because the dollar amounts involved here are staggering, and I want you to understand exactly what's at stake. Let's go. Okay, so here's where we are. As of right now, this coming Friday is being anticipated as a potential date when the Supreme Court could release their ruling on the tariffs. Now, I have to be honest with you, nobody knows for certain when they're going to drop this decision except the Supreme Court justices themselves, and they're certainly not giving us a heads up. But Friday is the next significant window, and this is the ruling that everyone, and I mean everyone, has been watching. Now, here's the critical piece. What does the Supreme Court actually decide? They're ruling on whether the president has the legal authority to impose these sweeping tariffs the way he has, and the outcome of that decision has a direct ripple effect on the revenue that's been fueling the conversation around those $2,000 payments. I personally wouldn't be shocked if they milk this out a little bit longer because, let's be real, whatever they decide, it is going to cause chaos. We should be prepared for that. But the decision is coming, and we need to be ready. So let's talk about Polymarket. That's the betting market that a lot of analysts and investors are watching very closely right now, and the numbers are not exactly encouraging if you're hoping the tariffs stay in place. Right now, Polymarket has only a 28% likelihood that the Supreme Court will keep those tariffs in place, which means they're betting there's a 72% chance the tariffs get struck down. Let me put that in simple terms. If you were placing a bet, you'd be betting against the tariffs surviving. Those are not good odds. And if you've been following this story, you know that the revenue from those tariffs is a core part of how the administration planned to fund those $2,000 payments. So, is it over? I know that's what you're wondering. Let me get to that right now. Okay, this is the part I really need you to hear, because I already know what's going to happen. The moment the Supreme Court strikes down those tariffs, and they very well might, you are going to see headlines everywhere screaming that the $2,000 payments are dead. It's over, forget about it, pack it up, go home. And I want you to be prepared to push back on that, because it is not the full story. Here's what we know. The administration has already identified at least 3 separate ways they could reinstate the tariffs, or at minimum, the revenue from the tariffs, through different legal mechanisms practically immediately. Now, will it take a little while to get the revenue flow back up to where it was? Yes, probably, but the intention is absolutely clear. They will reinstate this. They will find a way. And honestly, and again, this is just an observation, not a political statement, we all know that when this president is told he can't do something, that's usually when he decides he's definitely going to do it. So the idea that a Supreme Court ruling simply ends this conversation, I don't think that's how this plays out. All right, let's talk dollars, because this is where it gets really interesting, and I think it's going to give you some genuine hope. In 2025 alone, the United States government collected over $264 billion in tariff revenues. Just in January of 2026, they brought in another $30 billion. Friends, that's roughly $1 billion a day coming in from these tariffs. Let that sink in for a second.
Now, when the president first floated the idea of those $2,000 payments, the estimates that came out immediately after said it would cost somewhere between $300 billion and $600 billion to distribute them to a large percentage of the population. So let's do the math together. 2025 tariff revenues, $264 billion. January 2026, $30 billion. That puts us at just under $300 billion already collected. That's right at the low end of what they'd need to fund these payments. And if tariffs continue through the end of 2026, we're looking at potentially $600 billion collected over those 2 years combined, which hits the high end of what's needed. In other words, the money to fund these payments has, in a very real sense, already been collected. The question is whether it gets distributed and how. And that is exactly why this Supreme Court ruling is so consequential. Now, and I have to be transparent with you here, as I always am, the administration has also signaled that even if the tariffs are struck down, they are not planning to refund that money that's already been collected. They've been pretty clear that paying it back would create too many logistical and financial hurdles. So that $294 billion sitting there, it's not going anywhere back to importers, which means it could theoretically go somewhere else. Let me be specific, because I know who watches this channel and I want to speak directly to you. If you are a senior on a fixed income, if you are a disabled American on SSI or SSDI, if you're a single parent stretching every dollar, a veteran on a pension, or someone who is currently unemployed and just trying to stabilize, the $2,000 payment conversation matters to you a lot. These payments, as proposed, are targeted at lower and middle income households. People under the income threshold would receive the full amount, similar to how the COVID relief checks worked. This is not a check for Wall Street. This is a check designed to reach you, and that's why we're watching it so closely. Here's the timeline you need to keep in your head. Friday is the next potential ruling date from the Supreme Court on the tariffs. We don't know for certain it'll happen then, but that's the window. Once that ruling drops, things are going to move fast, and the news cycle is going to be loud and chaotic. My advice to you, don't panic when you see the scary headlines. Come back here. We will break it down for you accurately, without the drama, without the spin. In the meantime, here's what you can do right now. Make sure your information is current with the IRS and Social Security Administration. If payments are approved, that is how they reach you, and outdated addresses or banking info is one of the biggest reasons people miss out. Don't let that be you. Here's the bottom line good news, and yes, there is good news. The revenue to fund these payments either already exists or is being actively regenerated through alternative means. The political will is strong, and the framework for how to distribute direct payments to Americans has already been established from the COVID era. The infrastructure exists. This is not a pipe dream. It is a complicated, politically charged, legally contested situation, but the pathway is real, and we will be here every single step of the way, giving you accurate, honest, plain language updates. Friends, I know it's a lot. I know the uncertainty is exhausting, but you deserve to have someone cutting through the noise for you, and that's what we're here for. There is a lot of money on the line right now. For the government, yes, but more importantly, for the American people. For you. We are going to keep watching this story every single day. The moment we have a ruling, the moment there's a concrete update on those $2,000 payments, you will hear it here first, in plain language with no spin. If this video helped you today, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps more people who need this information find us. And subscribe if you haven't already with the bell turned on, so you don't miss the second we get breaking news on this. We also have over 6,300 videos in the library covering benefits, relief programs, and financial resources. So check those out in the description below. There's likely something in there that can help you right now, today, while we wait on Washington. You've got this, and we've got you. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.